Let me ask you about the controversy surrounding Donald Trump Jr. And the meeting with the Russian lawyer. In the months preceding the election, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, he's raising questions now about how the lawyer wound up in the United States in the first place. So the Iowa senator would not go as far as saying that the meeting was a setup by opponents of Trump, but there are new reports that suggest she was allowed into the country with an expired visa under the Obama administration. Also, we actually went to her Facebook page yesterday, and on her Facebook page there are quite a few things that are against Trump. There's one sign that said, "Free Melania," on her Facebook page. So it's just interesting to see that she's actually against Trump. Was this a setup?
Gee, I hope not. I mean, I'm just sort of, you know, you get exhausted trying to think about conspiracy theories about what may or may not have happened and why this was the way it was. But it seems like,
I mean, he fell for it. So
the brother,
but still,
you know, Jared Kushner, Donald Trump Jr. I mean, obviously by Donald Trump Jr.'s own acknowledgement to do it over again, you would have thought there would have been more vetting about whether to take this meeting, and I think they all concluded that it was taken, and the proof was in the pudding. She didn't have anything, and whatever was advertised was a pretense to talk about what she really wanted to talk about. Washington people know, senators know that this sort of thing, you know, you're careful in Washington about who you take meetings with. Politicians know that. People in business, the cardinal sin is don't waste my time. In Washington, and that's why Jared Kushner has presumably left after a few minutes once he figured she didn't have anything.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. In Washington, you're careful. Ask John McCain. You're careful about who you take meetings with, because if you take meetings from the wrong people, you get yourself into a lot of trouble. And optics are important. Not so important as a focus, generally speaking, in business. Although, you know, people.
Yeah, but I mean, she was in the country with when she shouldn't have been with that expired visa. That's
only a reflection on I think, a reflection on our immigration system than anything else.
Okay.
I'm not sure I buy the conspiracy argument. Maybe.
You're a former independent counsel. Take us inside baseball. What's going on now with Mueller? How are they doing? Where does that stand?
Hard to know. There's an awful lot that happens that's not visible before you ever get to things that are visible. You know, the things that tend to get more visible are when you start hauling people before a grand jury. You're not inside the room, but obviously the manifestation of that is that you'll see people collecting lawyers and so forth in the District of Columbia, and that's the first sort of outward manifestation to the public about what's really happening. Before you ever get to that stage, though, an awful lot of interviews and investigating go on, and so you don't really know. I mean, I don't know who they're talking to, unless those people choose to, you know, through their lawyers or otherwise, come out and say that I've talked to the special counsel. You know, he's going to look at this particular meeting with regard to Donald Trump Jr. I don't really think anything's going to come of it. I do think there are matters that will likely result in prosecution. I think there's some exposure for some people with regard to false statements. But I imagine that we're still probably months away from that. I mean, again, my hope is, I say it every time I'm asked, it is in the country's best interest that we kind of get to the finish line with regard to this investigation, if possible, so that it doesn't impact the midterm elections, and that it come to some fruition sometime next year.
Do you see anything impeachable here?
No. No. And, you know, when the Democrats, including the former candidate for Vice President of the United States, starts to talk about treason, I think all credibility, frankly, is lost. I know that's a harsh statement to say, but, you know, when you start throwing around words like treason without a basis, you know, that is troubling. And, you know, no, I don't see it. I mean, I've looked for it.
That's what Tim Kaine did yesterday.
But when you know, again, when people start talking about collusion so easily, I mean, I understand a bunch of people from the New York Times are running around chasing Pulitzer Prizes, but there's no federal collusion statute. Please tell me what it is they're colluding to do that is unlawful.
Robert, thank you. Robert Ray, we'll be right back.